What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the Woxki MMA channel. Today, I'm doing something a little bit different. We've got some gameplay video in the background, and we're just going to be going over some UFC current affairs. Let's get it. Like and subscribe if you want more content like this. And without further ado, let's go. Conor McGregor has announced on Twitter that he is going to be ending his sobriety. And why would he do such a thing? Well, let's just read the tweet. I've decided to have a few pints of the world's creamiest stout at Forged Stout in support of my fellow actor, Brad Pitt. Take it easy, Brad, heart emoji. At Forged Stout is a 4.2% alcohol, true sociable and friendly delicious beverage. Enjoy safely, prayer emoji. Now, if you didn't know, Brad Pitt recently did announce that he ended his sobriety. He was getting interviewed, he offered the interviewer some wine, and he had a bit of it himself. And, you know, I don't know Brad Pitt personally, and I would be very surprised if you did. But the news sources would report that perhaps his relationship with alcohol was not the best for his ex-wife and for his kids, all of which have changed their surname from Pitt. Also, just a little, side tangent here for a second. Firstly, my fellow actor, seriously, come on. Secondly, I mean, Brad Pitt has been, out of the prime for a little minute now. I don't know if you guys have seen, he's doing that new, Paramount military slut movie where it's like, he's this guy and he's got this dog and it's a man's best friend and something like that. Just looks like shit. And that's kind of the level that Brad Pitt is at right now. He hasn't been in something big since Bullet Train or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And, Fight Club was well over 20 years ago. And, we level with me here. That was kind of his peak. But anyways, now I'm going to jog your memory a little bit with Conor McGregor. This was the guy who was drinking in the fight week of the biggest fight of his career that was in the UFC, right? He's at the press conference with Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Why don't you drink?
I don't drink.
Why don't you drink?
I never drink.
I'll tell you some buzz at parties.
I never drink.
Khabib doesn't want to drink. He's Muslim. McGregor did not take very well to that. Called him a couple names, a couple not very nice names that I'm not going to repeat here on YouTube.
You mad backwards cunt.
And it wasn't good. In fact, as Dustin Poirier might say, it was a bit bad. Then, in the lead up to his scheduled fight with Michael Chandler at UFC 303, this was April 2024, he's spotted dancing inappropriately with a little person. He was in the full biker outfit, and it was a sight to behold. It really was. Then in 2025, McGregor made even more headlines. I don't know if it was alcohol. I don't know if it was the booger sugar. But it was definitely something, and I feel like the whole hopping off the sobriety bandwagon kind of facilitates that. There was the whole incident where McGregor sent a picture of himself, an indecent one, to the artist Azalea Banks.
I can't quit staring at Conor's dick. I can't stop.
Which, by the way, she's the one who's gonna leak it. Out of everyone, very, very poor decision making by McGregor, which could probably be explained by the substances. Not excused, by the way. I want to make that clear. Also, just in many of his public appearances, like the bare knuckle fighting conferences, there was something in the air. It was from Colombia, it was a fine powder, and it had gone up his nose. Also, on a more serious note, there was the highly publicized trial in which McGregor was found civilly liable in an SA case against plaintiff Nikita Hand, which I feel like is pretty illustrative of the fact that substances do not mesh well with McGregor and leads to just bad things for everyone around him. So, with all that, past experience in mind, it kind of raises the question, why go back? to me, that kind of sounds like he doesn't, he doesn't plan on fighting again. Obviously, in his last fight, he like blew out his knee. He just had knee surgery, and things aren't looking bright. But he wants to get back in there, and I think he wants to fight his way out of his contract, because once he's a free agent, once he's out of the UFC's grasp, he can go into those boxing money fights, which is fun and dandy and all, but with how like withered McGregor is, who actually wants to see that? I know the name value's there, but like, who would he actually be fighting? Jake Paul? Logan Paul? Gervonta Davis? That guy's a bantamweight, Also, if it wasn't apparent by now, the whole like, oh, I'm religious now, I did ayahuasca, my life is saved, I'm saved from the darkness. It was all a grift. It was all a grift. You don't become that rich by not fucking people over. With all the kind of, in the tweet, how he added Forged Out, it does kind of read like an advertising opportunity. Clearly, it's got people talking about it. It's got me talking about it. It's got you listening to me. So there is something to be said about the engagement, but, they say all publicity is good publicity. That's kind of bullshit. And if you actually go onto the TMZ Instagram post about this, you can see McGregor in the comments. It's creamy at Forged Irish Stout. So, in my opinion, I would not be surprised if McGregor was, back on the piss. But it does kind of seem like a whole advertisement scheme, a whole grift. And, there's not really a whole lot else to take away from that. Will he fight again? Probably. Will he look good? No. I know Max Holloway really wants that fight, so he'll probably be willing to sit out. Needs be, they can get Michael Chandler in there. But, yeah, that's just the Conor McGregor situation, and that'll do. See you later.